Well, hello, and welcome to this month's walk up the garden path. Well, hello, and welcome to my channel, Matthew Spriggs Home and Garden. It's time for July's walk up the garden path, and we're starting it here down in the Stumpery. Now, last month was so challenging with record-breaking temperatures, really unprecedented temperatures that the UK has never seen before at this time of the year. And surprisingly, though, the garden as a whole has really stood up to it very well. I have irrigated this area to the side of me here, but only like once a week, giving it a thorough soak, and then it just gets left to fend for itself for the rest of the month. Having said that, I think it's still looking pretty good. Now, by nature, these sorts of areas look their best in the spring, but even so, with carefully chosen plants, it can look good for the rest of the year. And particularly one of my favourites here is this hydrangea, which is flowering, which actually grew from a cutting that I sourced locally out and about. Also, I've been able to rearrange all of my hosta pots as well, which is the beauty about having them in pots, that you can move them around and get the best contrasting shapes and forms and textures. And also they've got some beautiful flowers on some of them as well. I've been doing a little bit of editing and weeding down here in the Stumpery, just to sort of tidy things up. There's a few things down here that get a little bit big for their boots, and they just have to be taken in hand. And then also, just to bring a little bit more of the structure back into the garden, I've given this boxwood ball here a little trim over, and then we've also had the loppers out, and we've got rid of all of the side shoots that have been growing out of this magnificent yew tree behind me. So actually, I'm really pleased with how it's looking down here. Just one more thing that we have that I would like to show you is just over here. There's this really beautiful clematis which is blooming at the moment. It has these delicate little bell-shaped flowers with green on the ends of the petals, and it's really pretty just to have behind the back of the seat. So we're moving into the woodland area now. And again, this is surprisingly has bore up quite well in spite of the really hot weather. And I haven't watered or irrigated this area at all. But what's looking so good as ever, as it has for the past few months, is this beautiful black-leaved elder, the black lace here. And again, the berries are just starting to form here, which will be a wonderful source of food for the birds. And then, of course, you may have noticed behind it is this beautiful hydrangea quercifolia, or the oak-leaved hydrangea. That's just like looking so special, and I love the contrast between these two plants. Moving down a little bit further now, we have some Annabelle hydrangeas. Now, I used to have a big clump of these either side here, but they used to grow up and up, and at this time of the year, the wind and the rain would come and they'd get smashed down. So I dug them up. But it's such an amazing and resilient plant, this hydrangea, and some of it has regrown. It's almost a bit of a weed. Now, talking of weeds, I've got quite a lot down here, but really, what is a weed? Now, by definition, a weed is just a plant in the wrong place. So I've got various things in here that people would consider to be weeds, but like some stinging nettles over here, they perform a really vital part of the ecosystem for so many creatures. Then down here in this boxwood ball here, I've got one of these ferns which has sent rhizomes up, and it's coming up inside and making the boxwood ball look a bit out of shape. So that, I'm calling that a weed, and I'll be removing it. So you could also say I've got some of this pokeberry here coming up. Now I will get rid of this because I've actually had quite a few comments from our viewers in the United States where I believe this is quite a weed and a problem, and literally they pull it out and out and out. But I love it. I've got some at the back here which I'm allowing to come up, which has grown almost as well, it is taller than the wall now. Also the feverfew daisies, that's a very communal garden thing, and that's seeded itself around. And there is some convolvulus in here, some bindweed. Now that can be a bit of a problem, so I will be getting in here and I'll be removing some of that before it chokes a lot of the plants that I want to keep out. So we're in the main border now, and it's really exciting to see that this rose here, for your eyes only, is just starting its second flush of flowers. The first flush was cut so short by the hot weather that we had in June, but this is a really good doer, and already again it's got more flowers coming on it. What's looking really fabulous down here is so many different clematis, and I've got about 6 or so different varieties of clematis, some of which I've planted near the cherry trees so they can scramble up as well as onto the walls. And I've got a new one that I've planted right at the back there, and I'm very excited to see that that's just started to flower as well. Then also, this is a plant, can you believe it? It grows like a weed for most people, but I have really struggled to get this, and this is this Crocosmia lucifer, and there's just a few stems coming up in here, but I think this is about the first flower I've had in about 3 years, so that's really exciting to see that coming up now. Moving on down now here, one of my all-time favourite flowers, and this is an annual, which is called Cerinthe, and it has these wonderful sort of almost like shrimp-like shaped flowers in this wonderful sort of like glaucous, greeny, bluey colour. And I can see that there's a few seeds have formed on here already, and I'll be collecting some of those to grow some more plants. Moving further down, there's this beautiful hydrangea Annabelle. Now, I think I mentioned before down in the woodland borders that I actually dug out and got rid of most of my Annabelles because they grew up just too tall and flopped everywhere. But this is relatively really poor soil down here. So as you can see, they only grow to just over 1 metre and they don't seem to require any staking. So it's quite interesting about how you put the same plant but in different conditions and seeing how it responds. Now next to it, we've got this acanthus with these really architectural flowers again. This is an absolute favourite of mine. I think these ones may have even seeded themselves. And then adjacent to that, we've got some lovely buddleia, which is just starting to come into bloom. And I'm really looking forward to that being covered in butterflies, fingers crossed. Oh yes, now here, I'm super excited. Look how tall this lily is. I mean, like, I'm 5'8", 5'9", something like that. And this lily towers over me, and it has really beautiful orange flowers with their stamens that dangle down, and it really is a favorite. I love it. Then coming on down here, either side of the arch, are these beautiful foxgloves. This is a variety called Firebird, and my sister always buys me these for my birthday, and they are one of my absolute favourites. So if you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen that I did a recent poll to try and identify this flower here. And I can now reveal that it is the flowers on the hosta humpback whale. And this one's a really good doer, and it's been flowering for weeks now. Taking you on to some other highlights of the terrace, I want to go over to this side in particular. Not talking about the pots too much at the moment, but this border along here at the base of the wall. Now we've got the beautiful scented jasmine up here, which has been absolutely stunning, as well as this hydrangea petilaris, which has been flowering, and we've just got a few of the little bracts just left hanging on here. But what I've really enjoyed is all of the different shades of green that there are here. I've got these boxwood balls that go along the front. There's this really architectural euphorbia mellifera. And then there's this beautiful selection of ferns and a few hostas, some of which are in pots, just tucked in here and there, because there's a lot of competition for soil in here. This old hydrangea, its roots just fill this area, and sometimes it's absolutely impossible to plant anything into it. One of the real features at the moment is the beautiful bronzy coloured foliage on this fern, which contrasts really beautifully with this crested fern here. And then moving on, more contrast again, we've got, this is the common or garden crocosmia, which is flowering. Another fabulous hosta, quite different flowers on this. They're very spread out down the stem. And then next to it, these bidens. Now, you may have noticed throughout the garden there are little pops of orange, and I've continued this down onto the terrace. This is an annual, and that will flower and flower and flower until the first frosts. I've got a beautiful scented lily over here, which is called African Queen, and I've got more of those beautiful firebird foxgloves as well. Now, I can't do this video without mentioning this beautiful itea, which is just starting to come into flower. And it has these unusual long tails, almost like catkin-like flowers that hang down. And they start to fluff out, small little white fluffy flowers. And at night time, the perfume from this is beautiful. And it'll be covered in moths. So this is a real treat for a July evening when it's lovely and warm and we've been set out having dinner and enjoying this area with friends. Popsy! I wish I could convey to you how beautiful the perfume is coming from this Tracheospurnum or the star jasmine behind me. They really do need to invent smell-o-vision. I hope you've enjoyed today's video, our July walk up the garden path. And if you have, please like and subscribe because it will really help the channel to grow. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.